let's get started. So thank you everybody for joining us for this virtual orientation. My name is Cheryl. I am the co-director for the Alpine Climbing School and a member of the Technical Climbing Schools Committee. And we have a few other members that are with us tonight as well, who will be talking, Jamie Simpson and John Heeb. You'll hear from them a little bit later. But first off, if you could all mute yourselves, we'll give you some opportunity to ask questions and unmute yourself. Also, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. And we have several of the TCS instructors that will be watching that and answering your questions. And again, we'll stop and pause a few times for you to ask questions out loud or for us to read the questions there in the chat. But absolutely, this is the opportunity for that. That's why we're doing this, because I know a lot of you have questions about different schools or are just curious about all the different classes that the CMC has to offer. So first, I want to talk about what is the Technical Climbing School. So there are a lot of different acronyms in the CMC. So sometimes you'll hear TCS or ACS, which is the Alpine Climbing School. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Technical Climbing School, which is a program that includes all of the classes that are technical in nature. So first, I'm going to give you an overview of what TCS is, and then I'm going to talk about the several different disciplines that TCS covers. So we have a couple of different navigation classes, several rock climbing classes, multiple ice climbing classes, snow travel, and then Alpine Climbing School, which is a suite or a subset of several of these classes. And then we'll talk more about getting more involved with the technical climbing schools as well. So overview, like I said before, Technical Climbing School connects aspiring climbers and mountaineers. So the trips are technical in nature. So a lot of them involve some sort of rope craft or specialized gear that's a little bit more technical than just basic hiking or trail running gear. And so there's a different level of risk and safety that those classes contain. And so we teach you kind of that next level of, skills of technical nature and the different gear that you need for them. And like all the other CMC schools, the TCS is run by a committee of volunteers representing each discipline, which again, we'll talk about those. And these volunteers give a lot of their time. We have probably 80 active instructors that are in the technical climbing school, and even more that lead technical trips. And many of these instructors are AMGA certified, ARI certified, have advanced wilderness medicine certifications, really a lot of experience that we have in our instructors, which doesn't mean that it should be intimidating. Like, the whole point is to educate people so that they can grow and then also give back too. So if you're an aspiring climber, definitely stick with it. You'll learn a lot more from instructing and just being part of the community. So here is kind of a visual that talks about all of the different courses that we have. And like I mentioned, we have some disciplines. So there's rock navigation, snow, ice, and then I'll talk about some other ones that are technically outside of TCS, but are definitely complementary. And you'll see that we have it broken down into different levels. So we have our 100 level classes, which are basic introductory classes, our 200 level classes, which get into beginner and intermediate, and then 300 and 400 level classes that have a lot of prereqs, but that's because they're a lot more technical and advanced. So first, I'll talk about navigation. Probably a lot of you have already taken Nav 1 or are part of the WTS, Wilderness Trekking School, and have taken navigation as part of that. So we have kind of an introductory navigation and then also advanced navigation, which is part of our Alpine Climbing School, which again, we'll get back to later. So those are different levels. Our field days will go out to North Table Mountain or out to Deckers, where there's a lot more terrain challenges out there. It's really fun classes. It's kind of like going treasure hunting, I guess, but in the backcountry. Really valuable skills. And then here is kind of our schedule for navigation classes for Nav 1 field days and Nav 2 field days. So the navigation classes are offered, the lectures are self-paced. They're recorded videos where you have homework. So you can do that at your own pace. And once you complete the online education requirements, then you're able to sign up for an outdoor field day where you can apply your skills. So these field days are offered throughout the year. However, we may take a break in the winter, but for those of you that are interested in taking Alpine Climbing School, Nav 1 will be a prereq for many of you. So I would recommend, if that is something that you're interested in, and not delaying in trying to get your field days done, because these two are scheduled. If there's demand, we may add another one in December, but it's going to be based on demand, and you won't be able to, you won't want to wait till last minute to try to get that in. Any questions so far about navigation? Feel free to chat. And also, I can't multitask. So if one of the other instructors wants to let me know if there's anything in the chat or just want to jump in, go ahead and do that. If not, then I'll move on to rock climbing. So you'll, if we go back, I'm just going to go back a couple of slides. You'll see rock climbing. These are all the classes in green on the left. We have a very extensive amount of rock climbing classes for all levels of climbers. I know a lot of you may have come in with climbing experience. Some of you may be completely new. We have a class for everything. And in 2022, we're going to offer some specialized classes as well. So let me just kind of get through the list of classes we have. So these are the classes that we offer every year. Basic climbing, intermediate climbing, which is rappelling, a little more kind of rope work, rock seconding. This is, you know, if you're following somebody that's leading either in sport or trad. Basic anchors, rock rescue classes 1 and 2. And if any of you have taken either of those, they're really great classes to have, no matter what your level of climbing is, or even if you don't climb a lot, just being able to kind of understand these rescue tactics in the backcountry. Sport climbing, traditional lead climbing, and then also multi-pitch concepts. So before I get into that, I see there are some questions that have popped up. So just looking, okay. Let's see, I already answered. So the navigation porch, sorry, is this, I think WTS. So Nav 1 is covered under WTS, but we'll actually get to that later when we talk about the prereqs for Alpine Climbing School. So the rock classes. So let me just talk about more of the rock classes. So like I was talking about the levels before, 100 level is introductory classes. No prereqs are required for these. This is basically learn how to climb. So basic climbing is, you know, similar to like if you're a gym climber, how to safely belay your partner, belay techniques, and we start introducing you to some rope management techniques as well. And then 200 level is where we get into intermediate rock climbing, where you're outside and you're practicing rappelling in different ways. There are several ways to rappel safely, and we cover all those basic anchors. There's a lot of different ways to do anchors. This is just an introductory class, and then we'll also have a class that is advanced anchors for those of you that get into more advanced classes, and then the rock self-rescue one. And that includes ascending a rope, escaping a belay, passing an obstruction while you're rappelling. Again, really, really great class. And then the 300 level is rock seconding, sport lead climbing. And then we get into the advanced ones, like I mentioned before, advanced anchors, traditional lead climbing, multi-pitch climbing, and rock rescue too. And then here we have the schedule. So this is for kind of the 100 and 200 level rock classes. We have a lot of things already scheduled for 2022. These will be on the CMC calendar. They're not on there yet. We probably won't open registration until January for these, but we will update our CMC Technical Climbing Schools page with dates within the next week or two so that you can plan for those. But these are approximately when they'll be offered. And for those of you that are interested in taking advanced climbing school or Alpine Climbing School and need the basic climbing as a prereq, we do have a couple of sessions that are offered next month in November, and those are on the CMC calendar. You can just search for basic climbing. I think the 16th is already filled up, so if that's something that you need, go ahead and try to register for the 18th right away. If that fills up as well, we may be able to offer another one in December or January, but it's going to be based on demand. And then the 300 and 400 level classes, we don't have those dates set yet. We know about the approximate time, but again, check the CMC calendar and the CMC Technical Climbing Schools page for updated dates when those are. And all of these classes, they do fill up. So definitely keep your eye out for when registration opens if that's something that you're interested in. And I will pause again for some more questions. Okay. All right, so we'll get to the NAV 1 requirement for Alpine Climbing School later. So the locations for indoor, outdoor climbing, it varies. For the basic rock, that's an indoor class that we'll have on the CMC wall. Intermediate and advanced rock classes, they may be in, for intermediate, Maxwell Falls and Evergreen is a popular place. Some of the advanced rock classes may be in Boulder Canyon. Some of them may be in Castlewood Canyon, some state parks, some in Clear Creek. So it varies. It depends on where we get permits. But when you see the classes on the CMC calendar, it will give you the exact location of where they'll be. And then the question is, for the sport lead climbing class, what grade will you lead up to? So it will vary. It's going to depend on what level you're at. So the place that we go to for the field day is in Clear Creek, and I think it has opportunities to lead as low as a 5.5 up to, I don't know, I'm not sure, harder, probably a 5.8 for the class. So we definitely try to make it accessible for everybody. So don't feel that you need to be a 5'10" climber to be able to take the sport lead class. We definitely have places to accommodate people because we're teaching technique, not necessarily, climbing grades. And the other question is scrambling totally separate from TCS? It is. So there is an Alpine scrambling course, and that is offered outside of technical climbing schools. It's a different school. It's part of the Denver group. And I don't know the details of that, but I think it's typically offered in early summer, but that is definitely a class that also fills up, and that one, it fills up within minutes. So watch out for when that is announced and try to register early for that if that's something you're interested in. Okay. And then the requirements for waiving basic climbing. So that is an option. So if you're an experienced climber and you've come in, you can waive basic climbing. And basically the skills that you need are, like I mentioned earlier before, to be able to safely belay your partner, we cover belay stance, proper climbing commands, and then some basic like rope management skills. If you are an experienced gym climber, you shouldn't have any trouble with the basic climbing waiver. And we do provide you the material that we teach, so you'll be able to kind of understand what the expectations are. And then will there be a session to test out of Rock 1? Yes, there will. So those are also on the calendar. I think the same nights that we have the basic climbing, but just search a calendar for basic climbing waiver, and you should be able to find those to sign up for. And if they fill up, we'll do our best to offer more sessions, especially of the waiver nights. Those are easier for us to offer, but also keep in mind, we're volunteers as well. So our time is also valuable. So, you know, when you register for these classes, you know, do your best to kind of sign up for them, because oftentimes there's a wait list. All right, Jamie. All right. Those are the questions there. So what is new this for 2022? And this is in the works. So we are going to try to offer some additional specialized classes, including crack climbing, aid climbing, and also some women's only climbing clinics. So those are in the works, but if that's something you're interested in, just keep your eye on the calendar and on the TCS webpage. Also, another way to find out about new classes and offerings is to join our CMC Technical Climbing School's Facebook page. And I think that's just the name of it. Just search CMC Technical Climbing Schools. You'll be asked a couple questions, but certainly join that page. There's a lot interesting, you know, trip updates, and we'll make announcements about schools that are being offered, and just a good way to kind of share information. So next we'll talk about ice climbing, and our director of the ice climbing school, John, can kind of take over and chime in here and talk about the classes that he'll be offering.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is John. John Heeb. Some of you guys may have seen me around in various classes and things. I teach a lot of different programs at CMC. This year, I'm director of the ice climbing program. And the ice climbing class structure is a lot simpler than the rock climbing one. There are fewer classes because it's already a pretty specific discipline. And there is some amount of crossover with rope craft skills, but basically there are three fundamental classes: basic, intermediate, and advanced. They go in order, as you can imagine. And new this year, we're also going to be offering a mixed climbing dry tooling class, and it's going to be pretty small. So it's kind of a pilot program, but we're excited to try it out and see how much interest there is, and see how it goes this year. So basic ice is kind of what you would expect. Really, the idea of this class is to get you exposure to as much of the different aspects of ice climbing as is feasible with like a, one field day course. So we try to get people on the ice. We want you to get a feel for actually climbing ice and using the gear. We do terminology and cover all the basics, so you know what the heck people are talking about when they're, talking about various different pieces of hardware and whatnot. And really the focus is just on like giving you, and also giving you some fundamentals, very, very basic fundamentals of technique, because particularly if you are already a rock climber, the technical climbing skills really do not transfer over like at all. They're unhelpful. So there's a certain degree of unlearning you have to do when you first start. And we really try to start you with like an even foundation, so that when you progress on to other things, you have the basics down and you can progress your way up the ice in a relatively efficient way. So that's pretty much what basic ice is. Intermediate ice is a lot more involved. Intermediate and all of the other ice classes actually are full weekend courses. So it's a little bit unusual. We don't often do like full weekend courses in like out of town. But the reason for that is basically that to really master ice climbing, you really need volume. And we don't want to go to, like wild natural ice in the Front Range where there's lots of other people climbing and like destroy it essentially. And it's also like, there's not a whole lot of variety unless you have to work really hard. So the best way to do that, of course, is to go to an ice park, of which there are only a few. And if you're going to drive to Lake City, you should probably spend the whole weekend there, because it's a long drive. So that's pretty much what the deal with that is. But intermediate ice is a lot more involved. Basically, this course, the goal is to teach you all of the skills that you need to go out and top rope on ice. So, that could be going to Lincoln Falls, Moffett Tunnel, other popular places. You can top rope after taking this class. You can go to Uray, of course, in Lake City, and you'll know how to use the anchor systems there. You'll know how to rappel in to a route, and you'll have some, basic understanding of like more of the technical rope craft skills that are necessary to like take your friends out and go ice climbing somewhere. So that's, and then we also spend, of course, a lot of time, improving on the basic technique that you learn in basic ice, and taking that and building on it, and, talking about different types of climbing situations, different types of ice. One of the other things that's really awesome that we do in this course is we teach some ice climbing anchors. In particular, we teach A threads and B threads, which are really fantastic for rappelling on ice without leaving gear behind. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, this is a great place to come do that. So that's a whole lot of fun. It's also an incredibly fun class. I mean, as you might expect, a bunch of climbers get together over a weekend in like a tiny mountain town in the middle of the winter, and good times are had by all, basically. So it's always really fun. And mixed climbing and dry tooling, as I said, this is a new course, but it is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to basically bring some folks out, some instructors who do a lot of this, and share some knowledge and climb some rock, basically, with tools, climb some mixed ice and rock. So that's the plan for that. I think yep. And now we have Ice Lead School. This is also tremendously fun for all of the same reasons I just listed. It's, it is exactly what it sounds like as well. We teach, leading on ice, placing screws, building ice anchors with screws, all different types of ice anchors, different ways to rig them, like really efficient ways to do things. And really everything you need to go out and start leading easy ice. You're not going to be ready to go out and crush like some really hard stuff necessarily. The biggest focus that you will see throughout all of our ice climbing programs is on safety, and climb below your grade is pretty much always the recommendation. Because ice is incredibly dangerous until you're very, very experienced in it. There's a lot more going on, particularly with sharp protrusions sticking out of your feet and hands. So falling is a much more dangerous prospect, even on top rope. So we really drill safety, but with lead especially, there's a tremendous focus on safety. We do mock leads with everybody, for the first couple of sessions, and then really on the last day you'll do like a true lead if you're ready for it. We don't force people to lead if they don't feel like they're ready for it, because it's scary to lead on ice, right? But we go through all that. So that's also a really excellent course. This is the schedule. We have finally gotten these dates pinned down. So basically basic ice, session A and B, the lectures are January 25th and 27th. The field day is at Camp Alexander, which is a Boy Scout camp down in Lake George, I think is like the town that it's technically in. And there's an ice wall there that's run by a guide company in Colorado Springs, and we work with them and they give us space on the ice climbing wall. So that's where that is. And then intermediate ice is that weekend that you see there, and it's in Lake City. Ice lead climbing, and yeah, and then mixed climbing and dry cooling. We're going to try to do this course in Ouray. We are still waiting on the permit, so no guarantees about mixed climbing yet. And also this is going to depend on interest and volunteer capacity. You know, we have to see how many people are actually interested in going to see if we can make this cost effective, but that's the plan. Any questions about ice before we move on? Oh, let's see here.
Did you want to share some pictures?
Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to do that. I'll answer some questions real quick. So purchase ice equipment. No, you do not. So we actually have, well, okay, I think we're going to do this again this year. We have a deal with, so first of all, the club has quite a bit of gear that we can lend out to people. And also we have an arrangement with camp where they lent us a whole lot of ice climbing gear, like actually pretty good stuff to use throughout all of the ice climbing program last year. And I think we'll be doing that again this year as well. We also, and I'm going to show you guys some pictures of this, we had some professionals from camp come out for the lead ice course, and that was awesome, of course. So let me share some pictures real quick. Share screen. This one. All right, here we go. Can you guys see pictures? Cheryl?
Not yet.
No? What have I done? Why not? Let's try this again. There we go. Share this. All right. Did I figure it out?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Pictures. Okay. So basically, these are some pictures that I picked out from ice climbing this past season. These are not all from the entire set of pictures that we collected. This is just kind of what I had. So, you know, bear with me. And these are all taken from different devices and stuff too, but I just want to show you guys how cool this is. So this is from intermediate ice when we're practicing VNA threads. Those are basically anchors that you drill in the ice and run some tat through to build an anchor. So we're practicing that. That's a lot of fun. Leading ice in Lake City, beautiful place. Talking about different ice anchors in lead ice, same deal. This is Scott Reed. He's a competition ice climber who helped out with ice lead, and I believe will be helping out with us again this year. And he's awesome. And yeah, so, and then this is another photo from ice lead this past season. This is me climbing this past year. We have a lot of fun. You know, it's a pretty good time out there. This is one of our instructors, Val, who managed to get herself stuck to a chair with a bunch of ice screws and cams and carabiners that like attach themselves to the chair. So more ice leading. So these are a couple pictures of instruction from one of the camp professionals, Glenn Grissom. This guy is awesome. And he came out and made it a really spectacular course. And this guy is belaying from the top, you know, which is another skill that we pick up in ice lead. So yeah, there you go. Fun times had by all. That's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna take over again. All right, so we'll talk about the snow classes that we offer too. So both of these snow classes are part of the Alpine Climbing School curriculum. We have intermediate snow and advanced snow. Intermediate snow covers just basic snow travel, how to use crampons and ice axe, how to maneuver on the snow on different slope angles. And then we also get into self-arrest. And that is just a skill you could practice over and over. It's an important skill out in Colorado winters. And then the advanced snow is where we'll cover snow anchors. So if you have to do protect a steep snow climb, or even be able to have to pitch out a snow climb and belay somebody, how to use snow and the different types of tools. Like typically we'll use pickets, but you can also use various other things in snow to build really strong anchors. So again, great class. So these can be taken separately or as part of the Alpine Climbing School curriculum, which Jamie will talk about later. We have the schedule for the modular snow sessions here. So the intermediate snow will be offered at St. Mary's Glacier, 2 different dates in April. And then the advanced snow session will be held early May at Winter Park. And this will be fun. It's a new venue for us, but it's we have the whole park to ourselves. This is after the ski resort has closed. So we have, there's great parking, and, sometime last year we had barbecue after our last field day. It was a lot of fun. So next, I am going to pass this on to Jamie, and he is going to introduce himself and then talk about the Alpine Climbing School.
Hi, my name is Jamie Simpson. I have been instructing for the Alpine Climbing School for a number of years now, and with Cheryl have been the sort of co-director for the last 2. So Alpine Climbing School is really that opportunity to, to put all of those skills together. So basically, Alpine Climbing School covers all of the 200 level skills except basic ice. And, the objective for Alpine Climbing School is taking all of those, individual skills that you learn in navigation and in rock and in snow, and putting them together so that we can take on like these great alpine objectives in the Colorado mountains in a variety of seasons. A lot of the people who come into this, they have a lot of experience, climbing 14ers and doing all of these things that are sort of more standard on trail type activities. But Alpine Climbing School gives you the tools to go out and take on more complex and technical objectives. So again, the program is made up of 6 classes. So there's the intermediate map and compass. So that's the navigation portion. Then we have our rock modules. Those are the intermediate rock, the basic anchors, and rock rescue. And then finally, the intermediate snow and advanced snow. And with all of these classes, they will be supplemented by a field day. So there's going to be some classroom work, some online work, and then we will sort of put all those skills together, go out and do these field days. And finally, we will be able to take all of these skills into sort of the wild and do a number of trips. So a number of additional skills that we work on just to prepare people for working in the alpine environment. We do risk management, snow navigation, mapping and trip planning, and team management. Okay, so, as you might imagine, this is not something for everyone. I mean, you have to have some experience going in. So you have to have proven backcountry experience, whether that's through the Wilderness Trekking School or Wilderness Trekking School waiver. We require a high level of fitness. Now, this is really in your best interest because the class is very demanding. The trips are very demanding. It's a lot of fun, but you really owe it to yourself and the people that are also in the class to really be in a high level of fitness. So basically, we're looking at people who are in that sort of C-level hiker classification. So, you should be able to do 10 to 15 miles and, up to 3,500 feet of vertical. And just expect that, this is not going to be on trail hiking. This is going to be,
Right.
on snow, off trail. It's going to be a challenging environment. The basic rock or waiver. So, we're expecting everyone coming into this course to have some rock experience. Cheryl described earlier sort of what we're expecting for people coming into this course. If you're not there, we need you to take basic rock before signing up, or working with us to get you a waiver. And then finally, we do have an expectation that you will have some navigation skills. So that could either be through taking Navigation 1, or if you have navigation experience through WTS or the Day Hiker School, because when we do our field days, we're basically hitting the ground running, and you need to have that experience before we get out there. Okay, so you have two options when it comes to ACS. So there is the I would say more popular team track, and then there's the modular track. So if you sign up for the team track, expect that, from about, the 1st of March until, the middle of June, you're going to need to have some flexibility in your schedule, and just expect that there's going to be a lot of trips and field days and classes. So, it does require some commitment. However, it's really, really great that, you form a really great team. I know that, the teams that I've worked with in the class, there have been a lot of really enduring friendships that have come out of that, people who've gone on to climb lots of other things. So it really is, a great opportunity if you're able to do the team track. You'll plan your grad climbs together. You share your goals and objectives, and just, build those strong team relationships. And you'll be together for all of the classes and field days and trips. The other option, if you don't have that sort of flexibility in your schedule, is going modular. So you'll take individual classes at your own pace. We have some flexibility. You do have to complete all the classes within 2 years, just to ensure that the content stays fresh. And you'll meet a variety of different people. So you won't have that core team that you will work with for all of these various modules, but you will get to meet lots of different people. All right, so as I said, this is really, a great opportunity to take those skills that we have in those 200 level courses and apply them out in the field. So all of our students, they will do all of the trip preparation, of course, under the guidance of the instructors, but you'll be doing the trip planning and the route finding, the terrain evaluation. So, this is, important for both navigation and, identifying hazards in the alpine environment. We will be doing rappelling and anchor building and self-rescue, techniques for safe rock and snow travel, which is so important in our Colorado high country. So we do have 3 trips. The trips are a high peak ridge climb. So that's going to be something that's going to be earlier in the season, you know, when avalanche danger might be higher. And we're trying to find objectives that sort of keep us out of more hazardous terrain, and trying to find those routes to the summit that are going to keep us safe. And, you know, as our snowpack stabilizes, one of the highlights, I think, of any ACS experience is our couloir climb. So there are a number of great couloirs across the state, and May is sort of a really, really great time to climb these, provided that the snow conditions are good for us. You know, some of these may be things like Dragon's Tail in Rocky Mountain National Park, or Cristo Couloir on Quandary Peak. So, you know, there's lots of different, you know, steepness or complexity or length. But, you know, you'll be able to work with your group to figure out what the right climb for you will be. And then finally, we like to tie everything together with our high peak overnight grad climb. So this will be typically done in June. And this is something where you'll pick an objective that will incorporate all of these skills. You may have portions that you'll be snow climbing. You'll probably have a rappel that you'll need to make. And these will be peaks that, you know, you wouldn't otherwise have done because of the technical nature of them. So it's a really great experience. So as I mentioned, you know, it is a pretty full calendar. So if you take a look here, you can sort of see both what the dates are for these various activities and the locations. So from the beginning of March until kind of that first week in May, it's a pretty full schedule. After that May 7th day, you know, that's sort of when we start doing our couloir and grad climbs. But all of the organized content is going to be in that March, April, and first week of May. So feel free to, you know, take a screenshot of this. If you're thinking about doing this, make sure that you'll find you know, dates that are going to work for you. All right, so ACS team track timeline. So what can you do now? So right now, you know, go out there and start completing those prerequisites. So, you know, if you haven't done your Rock 1, or you haven't waved out of Rock, or you haven't done your Nav 1, or, you know, don't have that WTS, you know, this is the time that you're going to need to do that. You know, we want to ensure that everyone who signs up for this course has those prerequisites completed before they submit their application, you know, in order to be competitive for this, because we do receive a number of applications, and, you know, we can't guarantee that every application will get into the program. So December through early February, you know, this is when we're going to, so we're going to be opening up the application link, and, you know, go in, submit your application. We'll start receiving these, and, you know, we'll start reviewing them, you know, between now and early February. So if you have any prerequisites that you need to complete, you know, be sure to reach out and let the leaders of some of the prerequisite courses know that this is what you are trying to accomplish. And then finally, you know, in early mid-February, that's when we're going to be making our final determinations on who will be getting into the program and assigning you to your various teams. So typically the teams are anywhere from, you know, 7 to 8 students, and 3 to 5 instructors, depending on the team. So it's a pretty intimate group. And really, from the time we get going, you'll be working with that particular team. I really want to make sure that, I toot the horn of our instructors. We are all volunteers, but that does not mean that we do not have a really, really strong background for teaching this. We have a number of instructors who have, climbed all over the world, have summited, Denali and some of the other 7 summits. We have over 1,000 14er summits between all of us. We've been with the club for a number of years, and we have a number of certifications. Most of us have ARI 1. A number of us have a single pitch instructor certification with the American Mountain Guiding Association. So, we take this very serious. Even though it is a volunteer activity, we want to ensure that we are providing the highest quality instruction to the best standards of the outdoor community.
And
now,
yeah. I can talk about this too, because I think I added this. Yeah, so we talked about all the classes there in the Technical Climbing Schools program, but there are also a lot of classes outside of that are complementary to the Technical Climbing Schools. And you may have seen them kind of on the outskirts of that diagram I showed initially. But one of them is Knot Tying School. That's going to be offered in December of this year. That is a great class because, knots are, again, something that you need to practice a lot. And just those fundamental skills and, being able to problem solve and know when to tie this knot where, helps with being safe. And also High Altitude Mountaineering School. For those of you that just listened through this and you're like, oh, I'm past kind of that Alpine Climbing School level, or I just graduated and wanted to see what else there is. The High Altitude Mountaineering School is back. They took a year off due to the pandemic, but will be offered again in 2022. And also for those that you that graduated from High Altitude Mountaineering School, there's also an advanced crevasse rescue seminar that's offered in the spring. And then also we talked about kind of safety in wilderness medicine and certifications. There's also CMC offers several sessions of ARI, which really teaches you how to be safe in the backcountry and avalanche terrain. And then year-round we offer wilderness first aid. And then also new this year, CMC is actually offering wilderness first responder classes. And those are on the calendar now, which is a great deal. So definitely, if you want to advance your skills and kind of safety in the backcountry, definitely look into these additional classes. And Jamie, I'll let you talk about volunteers.
All right. So, I've sort of touched on this already. So, as we've said, the CMC is we're a volunteer organization, and we come here because we love doing it. We love being in the mountains, and we love sharing this this passion with others. And and one of the things that we try to do is we try to encourage the people that come through these courses to stay engaged, and continue to take trips with the CMC and classes with the CMC, and of course, stay engaged by becoming a new instructor for us. One of the things that I always tell new instructor candidates is that you will never learn the content of a course better than when you teach it. So, going through ACS that's fantastic. You will be really well prepared. But man, if you go and you instruct for it, you will learn it even better. So we have a number of different levels to this. We're not expecting everyone to, jump right in and lead a group up a technical peak. So, our first sort of level is apprentice. So this is, we expect that you will have, at least completed one TCS class and that you have been asked by an instructor to return and help. You also will need to start instructor training, the Trip Leader School, and to get your wilderness first aid. The other volunteers in the program and the leaders in TCS, we are always there to sort of support folks through this process and make it less daunting. So once you've completed the apprentice requirements, then you will be working on instructor training, and typically, folks will want to find a specific discipline that they want to train for. So we'll want you to teach 2 classes, no sooner than 6 months apart. And again, you're going to need to have your wilderness first aid and Trip Leader School completed. Well, sorry, we recommend that you have your wilderness first aid and Trip Leader School completed. And then finally, senior, this is gives you a lot more independence, and we're always looking for good committed seniors. So once you've been an instructor for a couple years, in ACS or in any of the specific disciplines, we encourage folks to be recommended or to apply to the TCS committee. Again, we are very supportive of our instructors and will help provide instructor training, whatever that training might be for your particular discipline. Trip Leader School and Wilderness First Aid do need to be completed for this because if you are the senior, you will be leading the trips, and you have to have that Trip Leader School completed in order to do that. And again, you're going to have to demonstrate mastery, not only of the technical skills, but also teaching. And again, we support that. We do a lot of various clinics for the various disciplines to ensure that that what we're teaching is consistent and the content of our lectures is consistent as well. So again, we don't want folks to be intimidated by any of these requirements. Just know that we do provide that support throughout this process. So finally, trainer requires you to be a senior in all TCS disciplines. You are also a member of the TCS committee, and you are also a UIAA or AMGA certified guide. So that's sort of like what you could potentially do over your time instructing with the CMC. You don't have any sort of expectation to climb the ladder if you don't want, but know that the CMC invests in its instructors, and we want it to be the best experience for you as well as for your students. So with that, does anybody have any questions about anything that we've covered tonight? Whether that's any of the specific disciplines that the Technical Climbing School instructs, or about the Alpine Climbing School, or we're even becoming an instructor. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to put those in the chat, and we can answer those.
Hey, Jamie, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, this is Eric. I had a question about the cost for the Alpine Climbing School. I know that if you take like the class is kind of ad hoc. You know, they each have their own individual price or whatever that you have to pay when you sign up. But if you wanted to go the team route, is that just kind of like a lump sum thing that you pay when you register for it? And how much is that?
It is. So if you do sign up for the team track Alpine Climbing School, you do pay it as a lump sum. Cheryl, can you remind me what is the current for this year?
I think it is $600, and then there's a discount if you're already a trip leader. I think it may be $550 if you're a CMC official trip leader.
Okay, cool. I was just wondering.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the comparison is if you were to take it a la carte. I mean, obviously you save a few dollars, but I'm not sure what that difference is.
Mm-hmm. And then so is that just for the 6 courses? Is there going to be like additional costs associated with doing like the grad climbs as well?
No, that is, it covers everything. I mean, certainly, you know, if you want to, you know, have your own gear, you know, that's going to be your own expense. We do offer some loaner gear. You know, it may not be the flashiest and you know, most technically advanced gear, but it's good quality gear. We can offer that, you know, to lower that sort of burden of the expense of the course. But you know, once you pay that ACS fee, it covers all of the classes, it covers all of the field days and all of the trips.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
So there are a lot of questions about WTS as a prereq, and hopefully we can answer those. So if you have completed WTS, you will need that in addition to basic climbing or a basic climbing waiver before you can register for ACS. And if you have not taken WTS, but you have a lot of experience, there is a waiver that you can do to get signed off on WTS. However, if you have a WTS waiver, you'll still need the basic rock or the rock waiver. But then we also ask that you still participate in Navigation 1. And the reason is, you know, for the waiver, you're filling out an application. You know, it's kind of easy to say, hey, I've climbed these peaks, I have this resume of experience, but we can't tell, you know, what your map and compass skills are. So we do ask that you still take Navigation 1. And even if you have taken WTS, it's a wonderful course. It's very thorough. But, you know, oftentimes, you know, with digital navigation, people kind of overlook the importance of just old-fashioned map and compass skills, and also terrain evaluation and just being able to read a map. So we do really emphasize that you have those skills coming into the program, because you're going to go out and like plan a trip in the backcountry right away, and you're going to need to know kind of, you know, how to do that trip plan. So hopefully that answers a question. And if you just go to the Technical Climbing School's website, I don't know, John or Nick, if you can share that in the chat for people. At the bottom of that page is going to have links to the WTS waiver form, I think. And then also we talked about the Sea Hiker classification. You know, I know that's hard to get sometimes because there's not always a lot of sea hikes out there. So in the application for ACS, we will ask for that experience to prove that you have that equivalency. But if you do happen to have your Sea Hiker classification, and that's kind of specific to the Denver group members, there's a link to the application for there too. That just makes it a lot easier for us when we're reviewing applications if you do have that. And then what are some other questions? And then regarding gear, Jamie mentioned that we have a lot of loaner gear it's not the flashiest, but we can loan out crampons, ice axe, helmet, climbing harness, belay device. Eventually, the expectation is that you'll get your own, but hopefully that kind of helps with the barrier to entry. Also, if you're unsure of what gear you want, you can kind of get a feel for what's out there before making a big commitment. The biggest item that you'll need for ACS are mountaineering boots. I mean, that's a personal item. It's hard for us to lend those out. Plus, they're pretty pricey. But yeah, you're gonna want to get, the best one for your feet. There are places that rent them out too if you don't want to commit right away as well.
And if you do have questions about gear, feel free to reach out to the ACS instructors. We're happy to give you guidance, because I know that there's a lot of different types of boots and crampons and axes. It can be a little overwhelming, and we're always happy to sort of point you in the right direction so that you get sort of the gear that's going to be appropriate for climbing the kind of objectives that we have here in Colorado.
Also, thanks, Brian. Yeah, if you're a member of the CMC, you do get discounts through Expert Voice. If you just go to the members page, you can sign up for that. And, there's some great brands like La Sportiva. You can get 40% off, Mammut, lots of good brands. So that's definitely something to be aware of. And then also, Evan had a question. If you've already taken one or two of the classes that are part of ACS as a standalone class, no, you're not committed to modular, but unfortunately, because ACS is sort of a package deal, you'll just retake those classes with a team, which is not bad. All these skills need practice, and it just reinforces those skills. And you can always learn more every time you do it. And I recommend the team track. It's a great experience. If that fits your lifestyle and your schedule. But also modular is also really well. Or and when you take modular classes, you're going to find that the whole suite of TCS classes, it is a small community, and you do start seeing kind of the same people in other classes, and you can still create some friendships there. And then, sorry, so the TCS page that has the application and all the dates for these classes. My apologies, it's not updated yet. It will get updated this week or next week at the latest, I promise, but keep checking back, and the application will be out there shortly. Any other questions?
Cheryl, just had one question about the basic climbing waiver. On the event page, it shows 2 different times, 6 to 7 and 6 to 9. Is it, which one of those is that?
Oh, okay. So it's probably, I'll clean that up. So we'll do those. We'll have a basic climbing class going on, and the waiver takes 30 or 40 minutes. So we're pretty flexible for you to kind of come in during that kind of window of time. Probably not 6 to 9, maybe like come in sometime between 6 and 8. And we'll check with you before then. And then you can just kind of come and demonstrate those skills during that time period.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hey, is it possible to send out this deck to the participants afterwards?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, we'll do that. So anyone that is registered, we'll send out a copy of this. And then we're also going to have the recording available somewhere online. I know there is a folder or channel where there's several like CMC videos on there, and that will be added to that sometime this week. I think you'll probably see it if you go to that first page on the CMC website. there'll be like a little section that has trainings or education, and I think there'll be a link to this presentation there as well. And again, if you have any other questions, yeah, reach out to any of us. And also on this event, there's like a CMC Tech Climbing Schools at gmail.com email that's on this event. Feel free to ask any questions regarding anything TCS related to there. And, you know, like, we're all volunteers, so please be patient. We'll get to it eventually. But yeah, definitely feel free to ask any questions. So, okay. So Christopher Lang, we'll reach out to you separately outside of class and kind of work with your situation of, yeah. So, you know, and also one interesting thing, I know if any of you have moved from out of state, so Colorado Mountain Club has, I guess we say, sister organizations. So Mountaineers in Washington, Mazamas in Oregon, they offer similar classes. So if any of you have moved here from there, you know, definitely chat with us about what you've done. And we, you know, love to integrate you into our program here as best we can. All right, that's it. Thank you for sticking through with us. Great questions. Last opportunity to ask any. Otherwise, like we said, feel free to ask us questions later. Just email us if you think of any different ones.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thanks a lot.